Let me start off by saying that I wish everybody had a great and safe Thanksgiving. Stuffed your faces, watched some good football and basketball because we had plenty of that this year. With that being said, there were games to be played in the Central District, and that means games to dissect. We had a few teams that got to enjoy their holiday and got healthy, while others couldn't stop playing and didn't stop playing until yesterday, and a few teams are battling some illnesses. With all that being said, let's jump into this week's breakdown of the Central District games, starting with Shawnee and Logan. You know, it's really weird for me to be dissecting two teams at once, but both the Shawnee Saints and the Logan Volunteers were off this week to recover and continue to practice. In the latest poll that was just released today, as of the recording of this video, the Saints are receiving votes, and they will play on December 3rd, while Logan has 3 games on tap this week, starting on November 29th, then on December 2nd and December 3rd. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and I will table those. Let's go ahead and jump into our first breakdown, the Kaskaskia Blue Devils. Kaskaskia is another team that was able to really enjoy their weekend. For the most part, they did have 1 game on tap this week, and they handled their business, and they got to enjoy their Thanksgiving break. They beat Oakland City 116-63. Will Vassar shot 7 of 15 from the field, had 21 points, and led the way for the starters, while Kobe Wilmont was 8 of 13, 5 of 8 from behind the arc, and off the bench adding 23. Another one of those games where Kaskaskia shot 53% from the floor, 47 of 88, 45% from threes, 9 of 20, and pulled down 70 rebounds, had 27 assists, and only 9 turnovers. So Coach Hancock really handled business against Oakland City. His team got to enjoy Thanksgiving, and they were probably right back in the gym on Friday, getting ready for their slate games this week. So let's go ahead and jump into a team that had to play over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend and had to travel over the holiday weekend, starting with the Wabash Valley Warriors. Unfortunately, there aren't a whole lot of stats. Once again, I'm recording this on Monday night. I was hoping to have some stats done. Unfortunately, the Warriors lost to Mineral Area, who was 61-52 loss. No stats for Wabash, so I have no way to break that game down. And the only stats I have are from Dave Hunter, which is this game here, only their 5th game of the season. Another tough win for the Warriors, a 78-71 win over Richard J. Daly at Mineral Area. The Warriors had 4 players in double figures and led by Muja Burton's 5 trays with a game-high 28 points. Colleen Taylor scored 15 for Wabash, while Julian McGowan had 12 and Daniel Robinson tallied 11. Again, that is directly from Dave Hunter. Normally I paraphrase what he does. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that with the daily stats because, once again, on NJCAA.org, there were no stats for me to dissect and to dive deeper into, so I just had to go with what Dave had, and all credit goes to Dave Hunter on this one. So the Blue Devils and the Warriors were kind of the sides if we're going with the holiday theme. Now let's really start to get into the meat and potatoes of things, starting with the Olney Central Blue Knights. They had a fantastic break, going 3-0, starting on Tuesday by beating, in some people's minds, upsetting Southeastern Iowa 78-74 in the dungeon. JT Thomas led the Blue Knights starters with 17 points and shot 7 of 12 from the field. Damian Walkup came off the bench and had himself a heck of a night, going for 26 points, 8 of 17 from the field. As a team, the Blue Knights shot 43% from the field and had 77.8 from the foul stripe. They upped that game by going to Parkland and winning against Olive Harvey 92-77. JT Thomas, again, very, very efficient. Shot 12 of 14, and Delshawn Sims added 4 trays. Finished with 16 as Walkup continued to be a force off the bench for Coach Glash in the Blue Knights. OCC had 3 starters in double figures. Leading the way was Jacoby Thompson with 20. 8 of 17 from the field. Darian Lewis had 19 and Thomas with 14 as they finished out their weekend against Marshalltown with an 80-64 victory. And again, their 3-0 week did not go unnoticed as they jumped into the polls at number 23 this week. The number 5 Vincennes Trailblazers faced their first tough test of the season, and that comes on multiple fronts. First, they had to go to Moberly area, and they also battled some illness as well. Friday night saw the Blazers win 78-69 with 3 starters in double figures, led by LeBron Thomas, who had 16 points, going 5 of 12 from the field with 5 assists. Chris King shot 4 of 5 from the field and added 4 more assists, finishing with 14. Ryan Oliver continues to have the big nights. He finished with 10 points off the bench, and again, just was able to really contribute off the bench. And he started the season kind of in Coach Franklin's doghouse, able to come off and be very contributor the last couple of games. Saturday was the big game for multiple people, including Nick Nielsen of the Nielsen File and JUCO Hoop Scoop, as they battled the number 12 Greyhounds of Moberly. VU started hot with a 19-5 run to open up the game. Thomas Osei-Bonsu and Oliver shot a combined 21 of 41 and had 61 of VU's 76 points in the game, where Chris King was out and others were battling illnesses, and one of them actually didn't even travel. So Michael Osei-Bonsu grabbed 18 rebounds in the game against the Hounds, and that's 2 very impressive wins this week. Again, Nick Nielsen actually had on X, Twitter, however you want to call it, had Moberly beating Vincennes, so Vincennes able to pull out the win there. 2 impressive wins in the last few weeks against ranked opponents while they were shorthanded. The game against Indian Hills, they were shorthanded. They did not have LeBron Thomas. So, 2 very impressive wins last week. They are rewarded. They are now number 4 in the polls that were released today. The Statesmen winning streak on their home floor ends with their 80-76 loss to Danville area on Tuesday. Caden Hinderlocker was again a force to be reckoned with as he shot 10 of 17 and 4 of 9 from 3. He finished with 25 points. Devin Bell was the other starter in double figures. He had 12. Jordan Moore was the only player off the bench with double figures. He had 10 while shooting 4 of 7 from the field. The Statesmen did win the rebounding battle 44-32, but the Jags had 2 players with 20-plus points, and forced the Statesmen to 14 turnovers. In their game against Spoon River, Bell led the way, going 6 of 13 from the field, adding 15 points. Moore was efficient. He shot 4 of 6 and added 10. Rashid Daniels finished with 14 points and had 3 trays as Marlon Bennett rounded out the scoring, going 4-6, adding 10 as well off the bench. The Statesmen picked up their first win away from Robinson, beating the Snappers 70-63. The good fortunes, however, did not last as they fell to the host Blackhawks 75-57. Gabe Amorgi was the only efficient player for the Statesmen in the game, having a double-double with 16 points and 14 rebounds, while shooting 7 of 10 from the floor. Bennett was the only other player in double digits. He had 4 points and 4 steals on top of that, so the Statesmen not able to do what Olney Central was able to do against the Blackhawks and pull out a win. The Blue Storm had a battle on their hands as they edged out St. Louis Community College 74-70. Dallas Rufus shot 12 of 16 and had 26 points as Jacoby Huddleston shot 8 of 15 and added 17. Saxon Hokeeper kept his impressive line going. He was 7 of 11 from the foul line and finished with 15. It seems like the Blue Storm are really starting to turn their tide as they beat Daly 83-78. Rufus continued to have the hot hand as he's had 20 along with Nazar Leonard, who shot 6 of 12 from the field, finishing with 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Huddleston finished with 11 points and 15 rebounds while he shot 5 of 9 from the field. However, 19 turnovers kept the Bulldogs in the game, but SWIC was able to win, and they looked that winning streak going against host Mineral Area. Unfortunately, a slow first half doomed SWIC as they fell to host Mineral Area 81-64. They had no starters in double figured and only had Leonard and Bennett Bryles, who had 11. They didn't shoot terribly as a team, going 25 of 59 from the field and 6 of 18 from 3. It's just hard to win when you only have 2 players in double figures. Yes, they held the host Cardinals to only 3 players in double figures, but 2 of their 3 had 20 points. 2 of their 3 players had high-digit double figures, with one having 20 points, one having 16. And when your leading scorers only have 11, that's going to be a hard way to win the ball game. The number 13 Cardinals are also 6-0 against the districts, including 2 wins now over SWIC and over Logan. So if the district sees them come tournament time, it's going to be an interesting ball game as the Cardinals, again, seem to have the Central District's number. The Lakers' offense were led by guard Sean Dvokic, who had 19 points on the night, with 13 of those coming in the first half, as the Lakers win their first game of the week against Lewis and Clark Community College 105-77. Backing Sean up in the scoring was Bronson Bond, who had 15 points, and Aaron Davis with 14. Guard Tyler Chapman also helped the offense with 12 assists and 8 points. The Lakers were in a defensive battle against the host Blackhawks of Southeastern Iowa in the Broadway Classic, and they fell 64-54. Sean Dvokic again led the way for the Lakers in scoring with 12 points. Bryson Bond came off the bench, shot 4 of 8, adding 10. The Lakers only had 9 turnovers in the loss, but lost the rebounding battle 62-28 and only shot 33% from the field, and only hit 2 of 23-point attempts. Tyler Chapman, however, in their final game in the Classic, went off against the Snappers of Spoon River, shot 14 of 18, 3 of 5 from 3, 9 of 9 from the foul line, and dropped a 40-burger as the Lakers came back after trailing by 5 at half to win convincingly 90-75. Aaron Davis added 15 points, and Dari Duncan finished with a double-double with 11 rebounds, and 14 points. So the Lakers really starting to come around as they picked up 2 wins on this Thanksgiving weekend. So now that the recapping and the digestion of this past week has now passed us a little bit, let's go ahead and jump into the games of the week for the district, starting with the Lakeland Lakers at Danville. That's going to be a 7 p.m. Eastern Time start on November 28th today. SWIC is at Lewis and Clark, and Kaskaskia is at Oakland City JV. SWIC at Lewis and Clark is at 8 o'clock. Again, all these times are Eastern. Kaskaskia is at Oakland City at 8:30. That's going to be a very good game to look at, not because of who is playing in that game. It's more of Kaskaskia having trouble the second time around they see a team. Let's see if they continue that struggles, or are they able to right the ship a little bit going into Oakland City and maybe starting to turn it as they get ready to play some district opponents. Thursday, November 30th has 3 games on tap. Oakland City at Wabash Valley. Again, all games are Eastern Time, as I say. Then you have Shawnee at ASU South at 8 o'clock Eastern. So Shawnee having a long layoff. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects them. Is it going to be rust or is it going to be rest? That's the big question after having a week off of games. Then you have Lewis and Clark at Rend Lake College. Not a necessarily district game, but it does have some ramification for the GRAC. Lewis and Clark and Rend Lake are both Division II this year. Then you have games, only one game on Friday, December 1st. It is Indiana Elite Prep at Kaskaskia, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday, boy, howdy, do you have games. You have Missouri Baptist JV at Wabash Valley starting at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Then VU has their only game of the week against Elgin. That is at the PE Complex at 7 p.m. Eastern. Olney Central is at Three Rivers at 8 o'clock, and John A. Logan, after their long break, has to battle Indian Hills, unfortunately for the Vols, and that's an 8 o'clock tip as well. For that slate of games, I would say look at Logan versus Indian Hills, see how competitive that game is. Olney Central and Three Rivers, probably the biggest game of that Saturday slate. Sunday is when you really get some great games. You have SEMO Prep at Shawnee, 4 o'clock Eastern on December 3rd. And then you have the St. Louis shoot-around. Again, all times of these are Eastern. You have Kaskaskia against St. Louis at noon. Then you have Lewis and Clark in Mineral Area. Again, not necessarily a district opponent, but a good game to watch. And then you have SWIC versus Three Rivers and Logan at Moberly. So the Greyhounds might be able to pick up a win against the Vols. Just depends on how their legs are against after facing Indian Hills on Friday night. So the big games for that is obviously going to be SWIC Three Rivers. And I'll say Logan versus Moberly. District-wise, I do want to kind of see how Lewis and Clark is able to handle Mineral Area because, to be honest, no district team really has been able to handle the Cardinals of Mineral Area. And the Moberly Greyhounds are coming off of a tough loss against the VU Trailblazers in the district. So it's going to be very interesting this week's slate of games. A lot of good games on tap. Next week is going to be even more interesting, but I will keep that to myself until then. That's going to do it for this week's episode. I appreciate everybody coming out here and listening to me as I babble on. It's going to be a process. I'm still getting better at this, but I will see you in the next one.